Hey friends, I'm Mel and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're making 7 of my family's favorite recipes. They all contain this sweet little treasure right here. I always keep it in my pantry, Jiffy Corn Muffin Mix. Tonight we're making an old recipe called hamburger pie. Got a pound of ground beef and onions browning up over there, and we're going to start with making our cornbread mixture. Y'all remember when Jiffy Mix came inside of this box? And it was in like a paper kind of container, and it was just folded down. It wasn't even sealed. Y'all remember that? It wasn't that long ago. We're mixing this up just according to the package directions. That was 1/3 cup milk and 1 egg. Y'all, it's been a long week. It's just been a long week. It's been busy. Normally, I try to mix everything up in a real fancy bowl for you, but you know what? Every bowl I got in this house is just about dirty or full of some leftovers. So Fancy had one chance, but Fancy let me down. She let Mama down. I'm just going to mix it up in this measuring bowl. Well, now wait, I forgot something. I was going to put this cheese in here, so we'll be a little bit fancy after all. I just got a handful, probably a cup, maybe a little less. We're going to mix that in. That'll just make it extra. I've got my meat all browned up, my onions all softened, and all the extra grease out of here. I'm taking a can, this 15-ounce can of pinto beans, not draining them or anything, pouring that in. You could also use black beans if you wanted to, or mixed beans. That would be really good. I've also got some petite diced peeled tomatoes. This is about a 15-ounce can, and that's going in with juice and everything. I did not have a green bell pepper, but they're delicious in this if you have one. I'm going to put in just a little bit of sugar. I'm going to use my Auntie Nono's. It is salt, but it also has some onion and garlic powder in it. About a tablespoon of chili powder. Then I'm just going to sprinkle in a little bit of cumin. We're going to get all this mixed together and let this simmer for maybe 10 minutes. Now, this can be a one-dish skillet. If you have a cast iron skillet or an oven-safe skillet, I highly recommend browning everything up in the skillet. We can top this and it can go right into the oven. If you don't have an oven-safe skillet, that ain't no big deal. Just make this mixture on top of the stove. Then you're going to assemble it in like a 9x13 casserole dish. And I almost forgot, I did decide I wanted tomato paste in this the last time I made it. It's a very good flavor, but it wasn't a robust tomato kind of flavor, and I just wanted a little bit more tomatoey taste in mine. So there's that little frozen bit of tomato paste. You can throw anything else that you want to throw in here. If you want some corn, you could do peas and even give it like a shepherd's pie kind of vibe. Any recipe that you see is totally customizable. Don't get hung up on not having an ingredient or not liking an ingredient in a recipe. You can totally leave something out or add something in additionally. While we're standing here waiting for mine to come back up to a simmer, I'm just going to show you this recipe out of my church cookbook, and you can screenshot it. And of course, I'll always have you recipe typed out or linked, but you'll see I did make a few notes on it. Amy, she is a friend of mine here in town, and Edith Leach was her grandmother, and Edith was my first grade teacher. So when I say this is an old recipe, I don't really know that it's an old recipe, but when I had Miss Leach in first grade, she was an elderly woman then. So special, so sweet, and I just feel like it's old because of that. But when I saw that Amy had this and it was her Mama's recipe in our cookbook, I had to try it, and I've made it a bunch of times since, and it's just special to me because it was hers. So I hope y'all like it too. Mine's been simmering a pretty good while here. I've already got my oven preheated to 400 degrees, and I'm going to turn my stove off. Then I'm going to take this Jiffy cornbread, and I'm just going to kind of dollop it around. This will spread out some as it bakes, and it doesn't have to be perfect. This is a rustic dish. Y'all know I love a rustic dish. I do try just to spread it out a little bit, best I can, without making it, too messy. This makes me think of like a cowboy meal. Like out on the the gravy train, something Kent Rollins would make. But he'd do all his from scratch. He wouldn't be using these canned beans. We're going to put this in that 400-degree oven for about 20 minutes. I do put a baking sheet on the rack below this. I've never had it bubble out, but I know the first time I don't put that sheet down there, it will. Oh, Jens, look how pretty this is. This is beautiful. I love it when the cornbread gets kind of like puffy and swirled up like that. I just think this is beautiful. I love a big old rustic cast iron dish. This is one big skillet of ultimate comfort. Sometimes I like to serve it with some enchilada sauce over the top and some green onions and sour cream. Sometimes I just like to eat it like it is. This is one meal that is so special to me. It warms me heart and soul. Give it a try and let me know what you think. And now I'm going to share a Sloppy Joe cornbread bake. This right here is all it takes for the Sloppy Joe cornbread bake. Mainly, this little can of stuff right here is what makes it so good and so quick and easy. Well, this doesn't hurt either. I'm going to start this mixing up our Jiffy cornbread bake for the bottom. You use 1 package of Jiffy. I'm going to use an entire can of cream style corn. This is a 14-ounce can. I'm going to crack in 2 eggs and a 1/2 cup of milk. You just want to get all this mixed together real good. I have made a number of different variations of this recipe. I've done it with a taco type deal with enchilada sauce. I think I've done maybe a chicken bacon ranch type one. I don't think I've shown that on here, but you can't go wrong starting out with the bed of Jiffy cornbread mix. We're also going to put in 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese. I've got a 9x13 casserole dish that I have sprayed. Just going to put all my cornmeal into that. Now we're going to bake this for 20 minutes in a 400-degree oven while we start on our Sloppy Joe mix. I have a pound of ground beef here. This is 80/20, so it's a little fatty. So I'm just going to take me a little bit of paper towel and kind of get some of the fat up out of here best I can. My cornbread is almost done, so this comes together really quickly while you're doing all the different steps. The whole point of this meal to me is quick and easy. That's why I use this can. Now, if you wanted to level this up, you could definitely make your regular Sloppy Joes like I do the Pioneer Woman's, and I love them. That would take it over the top. They're not hard, and they're pretty quick too, but you got the extra step with the cornbread. This is just, I guess, super duper easy. But anyway, got my beef all cooked up, the extra grease drained off of it, mix in my manwich, and I'm just going to let this sit here and simmer for about 5 minutes. Okie doke, I did not even have to let mine sit for 5 minutes. Mine was just heated through really quick, and that's all you're trying to do here is just heat it through. Going to take that manwich and just spread it all over the top here. Now this one, I did not poke holes in my cornbread. If you've seen me make some others of these where I've poured enchilada sauce on it, I do poke holes in that cornbread just to kind of let the stuff get down in there. But this one, you just spread it out right over the top. Can't let that go in the oven without just maybe another cup of cheese crumbled up over the top of it here. Now I still have this oven at 400 degrees. We're going to go in another 20 minutes. Nothing says fall or even snow day like this casserole. You can't beat the flavors of cornbread and Sloppy Joe together. I like to top it with just a little bit of green onion, and there you can see that cornbread hiding out in there. Absolutely delicious. I'll have links to all these recipes down in the description box, as well as a link to a video where I made the Pioneer Woman Sloppy Joes if you want to give those a try too. I love to serve casseroles along with a salad, and my daughter had brought us in some truffle mac and cheese the night before from where she works, and it went perfectly with this meal. Comfort food at its best. Today's actually Easter Sunday, and it has been a beautiful day. I'm actually finishing up my contributions to our family's Easter dinner, but you know, spring's in full force around here. We got longer days, and we're trying to take advantage of every minute of it. I want to take just a minute and tell you about today's sponsor, which is HelloFresh. They've been saving my dinner time around here with delicious, easy, and fast recipes and all the ingredients delivered right to my doorstep on my schedule. Let me show you what I got. It's been hard for me to adjust to cooking for just 2 people, and I hate wasting food. HelloFresh's pre-portioned ingredients cut down on food waste by at least 23% compared to grocery shopping, which saves me money, and it's good for the planet too. And on that note, April is Earth Month. HelloFresh has always been committed to doing their part for a cleaner planet. On average, their meals have a 31% lower carbon footprint than the same meals from supermarket ingredients. Almost all their packing materials can be recycled curbside in most parts of the U.S. too. And this week we had to try the Gouda Vibe burgers first thing, and I was also really excited to try something from their fast and fresh selections too. And HelloFresh is not just for dinner. They have something for every mealtime and every taste. They offer 40 recipes and 100 seasonal convenience items to choose from every week. We never get bored. Their recipes have taught me lots of ways to level up and make an everyday meal like a burger something special. And we've tried some new things that I've never made at home before either. And I've been so impressed with the quality and freshness of each delivery I've received. These burgers were absolutely delicious. They were fresh and juicy, and the seasonal produce is picked at the peak ripeness and is delivered in less than 7 days. And you can tell by the taste. Now's the perfect time for you to give HelloFresh a try. Go to HelloFresh.com and use code MOMMA50 for 50% off, plus your first box ships free. That's an amazing offer, so remember, go to HelloFresh.com and use code MOMMA50 for 50% off, plus your first box ships free. Now we're going to make a chicken and cornbread casserole. This recipe is delicious. It uses very simple pantry staple ingredients. We're going to start with the chicken mixture, and I'm using 2 12.5-ounce cans of chunk white chicken breast. I have drained them, and I'm just chunking mine up a little bit more. You could definitely use a rotisserie chicken, any kind of chicken leftovers that you have. We're going to add in 1 can of cream of chicken soup and 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. And I'm using a generous cup of cheese as well. I use cheddar, but feel free to use whatever you like. Change it up to whatever you have on hand. I'm also going to put in 3/4 of a cup of milk and give it a quick stir. I always like to season this mixture part of the casseroles. I'm just using some black pepper and some of my Auntie Nono's, which is salt, and it also has some onion and garlic powder in it. Also, feel free to add anything in here. You could add mixed vegetables in here. That would give it a really nice flavor. You could definitely Tex-Mex this up with some black beans and rotel. Totally make this your own. We're going to set this aside and work on our topping now. We're using 1 box of Jiffy corn muffin mix. We're going to add in 1 can of cream style corn, a 1/3 cup of sour cream. I'm just eyeballing it here. 2 tablespoons of melted butter, and I'm going to crack in 1 egg. Again, if you wanted to change this up a little bit, you could totally put some chilies in here and some Tex-Mex spices and make this like a Mexican cornbread, little jalapeno. But I wanted just a classic, comforting chicken and cornbread here. I've got a 9x13 pan that I've sprayed here, and we're just going to layer this up. First, I'm starting with the chicken mixture. Want to spread it all out just a little bit here, and then we're going to take our cornbread mixture and just dollop it across the top. Once we get it out here, we will take the spoon and try to spread it around a little bit, And then I have my oven on 400 degrees. We're going to cook it uncovered for about 40 to 45 minutes. Now, if you see that it is getting too done on the top, just put a little layer of aluminum foil over here, make like a little tent out of it. But look how beautiful this is when it comes out. The mixture is a little jiggly, but I did take a toothpick and check the center and it was completely done. So I just let it sit here for about 10 minutes and kind of set up. I sprinkled a little parsley over mine. And when I started to get this out, I was trying to be really careful. I didn't want to mess up like the topping of it, but let me tell you, that is exactly what you need to do. You need to take this cornbread topping and kind of chunk it up down into this mixture, and just the longer it sits, the better it gets. It absorbs all of that chicken and gravy under there. It's absolutely delicious. My husband says he loves this better than my normal chicken casserole that I have made for years. This is all of the classic comfort taste in one dish. Definitely a brand new family favorite. And if this is making you hungry, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. The next recipe is a chicken tamale casserole, and I had some leftover corn and chicken that was perfect to use up in this recipe. I'm just preparing a box of Jiffy according to the instructions, but instead of cooking it at 400 degrees, we are going to bake this at 375 for 15 minutes. Now we're going to start on the filling, and I'm taking about a cup and a half of leftover chicken and just chunking it up really good. And I'm going to add in my leftover black beans. They've been rinsed and drained. This was probably half of a can. Then I have a little can of green chilies, and I'm just using about half of that, about 2 ounces. And I'm taking a can of enchilada sauce, and I'm just going to put about half of that can into this mixture. I also had some leftover corn that I'm going to put in, and of course it is drained, and I'm using maybe a cup of corn here. And the recipe link that I have below, I actually only made half of that. It was perfect for my size family. About the time I get it mixed up, our cornbread's coming out. It's perfectly done, but I must have had a little brain fart here, and I did not film this section, so let me walk you back through what I did charade style. I took a wooden spoon, and I took the round end of it and poked holes all in my cornbread, just like you would if you were making a poke cake. Then I spooned out the filling mixture, spread it all across the cornbread, and I poured the other half of that can of enchilada sauce all over the top. So now we're back up to speed. I'm going to cover this with a couple of cheeses that I just had a little bit left in the bags. Going to put that back in that 375 degree oven for 20 minutes. Really, you're just trying to heat it all through and get that cheese melted. I absolutely love this. I love a Tex-Mex dish, and I love cornbread. And I think the combination of the sweet Jiffy cornbread and the sweet corn in there with the black beans and the warm taste of the enchilada sauce makes this one perfect. It is one of our all-time favorites. Now I want to share with you a recipe for broccoli cornbread. This is so versatile. I don't know if this is a bread or a side or maybe even just an addition to the dressing stuffing area of your table, but I do know this: everyone loves broccoli cornbread. And this recipe starts with 8 ounces of cottage cheese. I know that that sounds like a strange ingredient, but believe me, it works in this recipe. We're also going to use 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese. I'm going to throw you in a small diced onion. And season it up with just some salt and pepper. Also going to pour in 3/4 of a stick of butter that you've melted in the microwave. And we're going to crack 3 eggs into this. This recipe was actually given to me by my oldest daughter's boyfriend, Ryan. He's made this for us a couple times, I believe, and this is his mom's recipe for broccoli cornbread, and it is very good. I've made it, probably 2 or 3 times since he gave me this recipe. We absolutely love this. I do like to get all of this mixed up really good together before I add in my broccoli, and I'm using a 12-ounce bag of chopped broccoli, and I have cooked that up and drained all of the water off of it. You want to try to get it, as dry as you can. Then we're going to mix all of that together, and last but not least, the star of the show is always the Jiffy cornbread mix. I have been on a kick with eating recipes that include Jiffy cornbread recently. You can never go wrong with a good old box of Jiffy. Just want to mix all that together and get it combined really well. I am using a 9x9 baking dish. You want to be sure that you have greased it really well and spread your casserole in there. I am baking this at 375 degrees. Could take anywhere from 35 to 45 minutes. Mine did take the entire 45 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, because my dish was really thick. If you have this in a larger dish, you don't need to cook it as long, but it's done when you can stick a knife in it and it comes out clean. But this is like a 2-for-1 dish. I love these kind of things. You're getting a bread and you're getting a side all in one dish. And even people who say they don't like broccoli, I find that they like broccoli cornbread and broccoli casserole. Another one of our favorite and most easiest dishes is this Jiffy corn casserole, also known as a corn pudding. And I'm taking a 9x13 greased casserole dish, and I am dumping 1 box of Jiffy in there. I'm putting in a regular size can of cream style corn, also putting in a regular size can of just sweet corn that I have drained off. Going to put in 8 ounces of sour cream. Also going to add in 1 stick of melted butter. I mix everything in this dish. I bake in this dish. I serve in this dish. That is right up my alley. This is so quick and so easy. There's nothing fancy about this or really any of these dishes that we are looking at tonight, but they are all so stinking delicious and comforting. Every one of these is something that my family loves. They're perfect for any weeknight meal, but especially for holidays and potlucks. I like to put a little cheese over the top of mine and cover it with foil before I cook it, and I cook it about 30 to 35 minutes on 350. I do pull off that aluminum foil the last few minutes so it can get good and brown on the top. Again, it's almost like a dessert. It's so sweet and good. I love to serve this with ham and sweet potatoes at Easter, Thanksgiving, or Christmas. Absolutely love it. And this is one of those great dishes that you could make up ahead of time and just pull it out and put it in the oven to bake. Now I want to share one of my all-time favorite little Jiffy treats, and it is Hush Puppies. They are the perfect little snack. They're great, of course, alongside fish, but I just love them. Starting with a 1/4 cup of self-rising flour and a box of Jiffy corn muffin mix, I'm going to crack in 1 egg, and we're going to put in 1/3 cup of milk. And I like to season my Hush Puppies up with just a little bit of black pepper. And I'm using my everything seasoning from Auntie Nono's, and it's got a little salt in it, and it's got garlic and onion powder. And I also like to sprinkle in a little bit of parsley flakes. I think the color is pretty, and it just gives it just a little bit of brightness too. And I'm just going to give that a quick little mix. And then I've got about a 1/4 cup of sweet Vidalia onion that I have chopped up pretty small. And I want to mix all this up. And I like to put this mixture in the fridge to set for a little while before I fry these up. I have have a small saucepan here. It's kind of tall and narrow, and I've just got some regular cooking oil in here, and I'm heating that to about 350 degrees. I always put just a couple little dollops down in there to test and make sure that my oil is ready. Then I'll just drop in by the spoonful some of this mixture. And it just takes about 3 or 4 minutes on each side. And I don't like to waste a lot of oil frying, so I use a small saucepan, but it's kind of tall. So I just get about 3 of them in there at a time. But that's fine. I don't mind to stand here and fry hush puppies. There's something real relaxing to me about frying hush puppies. You just put that dough in there, and then it puffs up and fries up, and they're so pretty. And they're so good. And like I said, they just take about 3 or 4 minutes on each side, and then I will pull them out and let them sit on a paper towel to kind of drain some of the grease off there. These are the perfect little snack, and I love them made with Jiffy. It's sweet and so good, and I love the little bite of onion and all the seasonings in it. It is just the best. Let me show you the inside and how beautiful this is. Oh my goodness, they are so good. You are gonna love them. There are so many different things that you can do with a box of Jiffy corn muffin mix. We have only scratched the surface here tonight. Let me know in the comments which one of these, or maybe more than one of these, that you're looking forward to trying here in the next few weeks. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I don't ever take your time for granted. And if you're interested in HelloFresh, don't forget that special offer. Go to HelloFresh.com, use code MOMMA50 for 50% off, plus your first box ships for free. I appreciate you being here and inviting me into your home. And until next time, I send you love from my kitchen.